Hello. How are you? Wow, I'm so excited to be here. I've done quite a few Facebook Lives. This is my first official YouTube live. Um, and yeah, I'm here to talk about fear of entities. Do you have fear of entities? Does the word that I say entities bring stuff up for you right away? I wonder. So, just because I said the word entities, I'm going to encourage all of you, even if you're new to my YouTubes or actually Facebook Lives, if you're new to this, if you could take your deepest barriers down, even the ones you don't know about. The cool thing about barriers is you created them, and so you can tear them down, you can destroy and uncreate them. Awesome. So, and if you really, really want your barriers and your walls, you can pick them back up when we're done. So don't worry, you don't have to go without. So, fear of entities. Is there any reason to fear entities? What do you think? Do you think there's any reason to fear entities? Okay, so let's just imagine that entities are for the most part, beings without bodies. And we're going to elaborate on that in other episodes, but for the most part, when I say entities, there's entities without bodies. And then there's also what's called demons. Now, a lot of people go, "Oh my god, demons." Just because the word itself has so much attached to it, right? We were raised in churches and religions that say demons are bad, demons are wrong. What if demons weren't any of that? Demons were just energy. Entities are just energy. If you think about entities in terms of ghosts, let's say, well, they're beings without bodies. Most entities that are ghosts don't actually know that they have a different choice. So they're kind of floating around in this reality with us, but they don't know that they can move on and go somewhere else. Demons are demons. Most of the time, demons were hired for a job. So, and it's not a really pleasant job. So, oftentimes, if you have a negative voice that's in your head that tells you how messed up you are all the time, that's probably a demon that you hired at one point in your life to let you know that to try to keep you small. You hired it to do a job, right? Now, I know some of you may be like, this woman's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So if you watched video number 1, I became a clairvoyant medium overnight when I turned 30. And I fought it and resisted it. And now I have a lot of tools and a lot of awareness that I can share. And if something I says doesn't ring true for you, throw it away. I'm definitely not here to change your belief system. I'm just here to share a story and a different possibility. And really, the purpose of the different possibility is so that we know that we have a different choice and that you are not victim to anything. So I will also state this, actually, now's a good time. Any entity or demon is not more powerful than you. It is only more powerful than you than if you believe that it's more powerful than you. But it's not, right? So if demons and entities are not more powerful than you, then would there ever be something to be afraid of? Most fear comes from a lack of information. We perceive something that maybe feels a little dark or angry or upset, And we immediately assume that that's bad and that's wrong instead of asking, what am I aware of here? So think about it this way. Let's say you know of somebody, it doesn't have to be you exactly, but even just pretend it's you. So let's pretend that this body that you're in right now dies. And you forgot that you had a choice to go on and you could reincarnate, you could go do another job, you could go do some stuff if you wanted to. But you forgot that. So now you're wandering around on this plane, this reality, without a body. Nobody can hear you. Nobody can see you. Every once in a while, you think somebody maybe saw you, but then they pretend like they didn't see anything. So you're like, and maybe you start to get a little frustrated because nobody can hear you. You can't. Nobody is acknowledging you. You can't seem to talk to anybody or get anybody's attention. Wouldn't that be frustrating to you, even with the body, right? So entities or ghosts that maybe are stuck here because they don't know any better can also be frustrated. They can be angry. They can have sadness, right? Now, that's great to know because one of the beautiful things is you can also, if you desire to, right? This is only if would be fun for you, but you can also start to let ghosts know that they have a different place to go. When I first became a clairvoyant medium, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew that I could tell there was a bunch of ghosts milling about that didn't know that they could move on. So I did what I knew to do, or what I kind of guessed to do. And I asked for one of my spiritual team guides or an angel to come and help this spirit move on. And that most of the time I would just talk to the entity, let them know they had a different choice, and then ask my spirit guide to help them move on. In Access Consciousness, there's some great tools. I highly recommend going to a foundation class. You'll learn some of the basics of talk to the entities. And there's actually a whole class and series of classes called Talk to the Entities by Shannon O'Hara. And it's a branch of Access Consciousness. And she gives you amazing, great tools. Right now, I will mention some of them, but for the most part, I'm just desiring to give people some information. So, are entities and demons anything to be afraid of? Well, if they're not more powerful than you, then what do you think? And I will say this too, if you want awareness of entities, you can have it. They're already there. If you don't want awareness of entities, you don't have to have that, right? So it's a choice that you get to make. You're not a victim to it. You might have been aware of it as a child or something like that, but you actually have the ability to turn it off and on. So if you don't want to develop this, don't turn it on. Turn it off. So the lack of information, one, I would probably say is that most people think there's something to fear because there's energy out there that you can't necessarily see. You can perceive in some way. Some people can see them. A lot of people feel them, even if they ignore what they feel. And then some people just have a knowing. Some people hear them, right? But if you know that none of them are more powerful than you, and you actually get to say how it goes, then would you have something to fear? Now, demons, and right there, I can already tell there's some people having resistance to the word, right? Demons? No, not demons. We don't talk about demons, right? But what if demons were just energy, right? Demons are often hired to do a job. So you'll often hire them to handle uncomfortable situations. You probably handled them or hired them when you were a kid and things were very difficult for you. If you had some difficulties in childhood, which most people have at some point, right? The cool thing about a demon is that you hired it to do a job, it'll do the job. The good news is you hired it, which means you can fire it. Again, you have the power. There is nothing out there more powerful than you. So just knowing that demons are just an energy that perhaps don't even want the job you hired it for, what kindness would it be if you were willing to just fire them and let them go do something different? Cool. So interesting information, I'm sure. I'm going to tell you a little bit of story about when I first became a clairvoyant medium, because it was when all of my fear of entities went away. I was on a vision quest to Sedona, Arizona, and I was asking for some ease with this new gift because I had been given this when I turned 30 and I really didn't want it. So I was invited to watch a couple doing a healing on this woman. And as they were doing the healing, my spirit, I already knew at this point that I could turn my sight off. And because I didn't want to be seen as the crazy lady, I kept it off almost all the time. So then my team would have to occasionally come in and go, open your sight, right? Or encourage me to open my sight. They never demanded me to, they just always invited me to. And I was not having it. I didn't want to see what they wanted to show me. I was a little bit stubborn with this newfound gift, and they encouraged me to trust them, which was kind of how they got me to do things occasionally, because my spiritual team, why wouldn't I trust them? So, and finally, they got me to open my sight, but I only opened it this much to include the crystal grid and everything that was going on in front of me. And they were like, open it to include the whole room. And then after some prodding and stubbornness on my side, I finally opened it to include the whole room. And there was, of course, what I knew was there on some level. I just didn't want to see it. I saw this dark mass in the right-hand corner. Now, when I first saw this dark mass, I was like, see, I didn't want to see that. I didn't need to see that. I definitely was one of those people that wanted desperately, whether it was true or not, I wanted desperately for all of life to be puppies and rainbows and light and all of that. Even though on some level I knew it wasn't all of that, like we have to have all of it. So I see this dark mass. I'm a little annoyed that I see this dark mass, and I'm like, okay, fine, I see it, whatever. And then my team said, okay, now invite it towards you. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? I'm like, no way. No way am I inviting darkness towards me, right? I'm like, and they like pulled the trust card again. Don't you trust us? And I'm like, okay, fine. So I invited it towards me. And as I invited it towards me, it touched what's probably most people consider like your aura, your energy field. I know our energy is actually everywhere, but like there's a consolidation of energy around us, and some people call it an aura. So when this dark energy touched my aura, touched my energy field, it turned into bubbles of light, floated up, and I could just hear it say, thank you. Thank you for releasing it. I knew in that instant I had nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. That having darkness be a part of life was there, but it didn't impact me. It didn't have to influence me. So I'm not any different than you. you and I are the same. You have this ability too, right? Now you don't have to do anything with it. We're all aware on some level, but my hope for this channel is that we dispel all the misconceptions about entities and maybe even get to a point where we can learn to work with entities instead of constantly resisting them. Like, what would be possible if we worked in communion with all of the energies of life, of the earth, of people, of our families, of our friends, of our communities, and of all of the energies that are milling about all the time? How many demons might you be able to set free just by you being you, right? How many entities are really desiring to move along? They just need somebody to help them. So if that's something that interests you, I'll be talking more about kind of what entities are, different types of entities, and how to clear them, how to communicate with them. Just some basic tools to empower you to know that you got this. you, it's not near as scary and overwhelming as you think it is. And you're also not alone. So if you have questions, if you have anything that you'd like me to address, you're welcome to comment after these videos. You can also look me up on Facebook and private message me. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I look forward to seeing you. I will be here again live on Tuesday at 12 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Have a beautiful day.